Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining. I'm Ken Florenz. I'm the Senior Director here at Lightpath, and today we're going to talk about a few things with regards to cybersecurity. I always find it funny that we have Cybersecurity Month in the same month as Halloween, which I can't help but think about, how that all works together. People who are faceless attacking various different WAN interfaces and people with masks knocking on doors. And reminds me of a joke I heard, like, what's a ghost's favorite data type? Boolean. All right, enough of that. Anyway, today we're going to talk about 3 different cybersecurity solutions to help protect your network. I'm joined here today with my esteemed colleague, Bill Cheslock, who is the Director of Emerging Products. And with that, let's get started because we only got a short period of time, and maybe if I have a few more jokes at the end, I can get them in. Or maybe not. Okay, so let's start with slide number 1. Cybersecurity. Why do we have a need for cybersecurity? Okay, there are various different reasons why we have cybersecurity protections, and that's because of the world we live in. Attacks are starting to increase in size and scale, right? They are becoming more and more sophisticated, which is why cybersecurity and DDoS is becoming paramount in the world that we live in. And the ability to protect ourselves and have that higher level security posture becomes paramount. Our services have now become more WAN and internet-based services, which makes us even more vulnerable to those various different attacks, again, as they increase in size and scale and sophistication. Right? There's regulations that are out there today that require us to have various different cybersecurity protections, such as DDoS. And you'll hear us talk about today. Bill's going to go into further detail with DDoS protections. I'll talk about OTS encryption, our optical transport service encryption. And then we'll talk about our Lightpath branded FlexNet solution. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bill to talk a little bit more about our DDoS protections and capabilities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Ken. So the idea about DDoS attacks, it's just one of the threat vectors that adversaries have been using, bad actors have been using. And the first chart we talk about here is about the frequency and mostly the effectiveness that these attacks have continued to have on those subject to the attacks. So the bottom line is that every time there's a defense that's put up, the adversaries come up with new attack types. And the attacks are getting more multi-vectored, more in bandwidth, and more timely, meaning they're lasting for longer amounts of time. As such, they're having more and more of an impact on firms, and especially on firms, it's devastating on firms that have a dependency on internet access. So that now you can't get sales, your employees can't get access to the internet. So it's very disruptive to the firm. And you see the number out there, about $6,000 average cost per minute. The point of that is really to talk about how even a small attack can have a devastating impact into a firm. And one of the reasons we've changed and modified our DDoS protection is to keep pace with the types of attacks and the sophistication of the attacks, so that our customers can maintain standard business operations. Okay. The next chart talks about how the types of firms being attacked, the types of entities being attacked, is pervasive. It's across the board. Used to be that just government and education firms needed education, or municipalities had to be focused on this. But what we're finding is over time, anybody is a target. Anyone with an internet connection is a target. And whether the adversary is a state actor taking out, targeting larger firms, or even some, I'll say, smaller individual type attacks that happen, they're becoming very effective. And the reason they are becoming pervasive and effective is because, as mentioned earlier, the ways that these attacks can be instantiated, the way that they can be started, and the way that they are affecting multi-vectors, they're just really taking down companies that don't have robust protections against these various types of attacks. Okay. With that, we can segue into the latest Lightpath DDoS protection, which is related to a product we call DDoS Shield. And we've advanced our product offering here into both DDoS Shield Plus and Premier because we wanted to start to provide protection not only at the network layer, but also at application layers. So as the adversaries have started to use DNS servers or SNMP protocols or attack web servers through too many connections per second, all these various types of attacks need a protection, need a robust protection. And at Lightpath, we've implemented this solution so that you get this protection without the need of having an appliance on site. The protection happens at the edge of our core network. So it's really happening where the internet touches the Lightpath core network. And it's constantly updated and evolving with the latest threat information that's out there. Of note, when you look at DDoS protection solutions, is our, I'll call it artificial intelligence or the machine learning that our product offers. It's something you should pay attention to because as the adversary and the attack scripts continuously change, you need a product that can detect, define, categorize, and then start mitigating attacks in a way that minimizes false positives. In our solution, there's such a thing called a behavioral engine. And this engine looks at data flows real time, and it can start to build signatures so that as things happen in real time, the defenses, the mitigation can occur in a very timely fashion. One of the objections I talk to frequently are customers like to put their DDoS protection alongside with their firewall protection. And the point I make to that is at that point, the adversary already got to your front door. And if they start to bog down your firewall, it's going to bog down all the functions that that firewall is performing. So it's best to have this type of protection deeper into the network, closer to where the attacker may be happening. And in the Lightpath DDoS Shield solution, we have that. The other powerful component of this solution is the customer portal. What we found is that our customers, when everything is good and everything is working, there's no indication of when attacks occur or when they don't occur. And now that we have a portal, our customers are able to log in anytime they want to see both in a dashboard or in a report what's happening on their internet connection. So they get real-time feedback on attacks that are happening, the bandwidth of the attack, the types of attack, etc. So there's a lot more visibility that's being provided with this updated solution.
And what I'll do now is I'll switch gears from DDoS into OTS encryption. Many of you who have joined us pretty regularly know that about 2 years ago, I did a lunch and learn with Patrick Scully from Siena, who is one of our major partners here at Lightpath. And we talked about OTS encryption with our optical transport service, where we put various cards, a card on each side of your connection to help facilitate, or I should say, to help thwart any kind of infiltration of that data stream from that point-to-point connection. All right, it secures the in-flight 24/7 data with high throughput, so you're not losing a bunch of throughput due to the encryption module that's over the top of that. And it also is a very reliable and secure, ultra-low latency type solution, right? And at the end of the day, when we talk about it with all the various different hackers that are out there and the different tools where they can actually get the fiber vampire tap on there and try and get that data, what this does is it encrypts the data from end to end so that if you had a live stream of data going across, and they put that tap on there, they won't be able to see that live stream because there's nothing responding back to the other side to say that that encryption synced up, right? The keys. So when we talk about encryption, it's an easy to use, it's a holistic approach from a security standard. And it also helps raise, again, that security posture, if you will, at the layer 1 level, right? It's protocol agnostic. It has a wide range of services that it supports, so you don't have to worry about any of your data streams in that respect. It also is FIPS 140 compliant, 140-2 compliant, right? It also uses TLS to have HTTP connectivity authenticated with the security certificates so that they sync up. And honestly, it adheres to the strictest industry security standards. So at the end of the day, between DDoS protecting your outside, as Bill was talking about, and then you have OTS connectivity, where you have the cards on either end, protecting that sent data, you now have another layer of security that we're building upon your data to protect you and your organization. I'll turn it back to Bill to talk about FlexNet.
Thanks. Our FlexNet product is our SD-WAN product. So as many of our customers have migrated from some of the legacy infrastructures like MPLS cores or ELANs, multiple E-lines, our customers have found that they want to start to leverage the advanced technologies that higher level orchestration solutions provide, that SD-WANs provide, and also take advantage of or maintain a high level of security. Because as they move to SD-WANs, they're usually migrating to cloud connections, they're usually incorporating remote workers, and again, maintaining the internet connection for e-business opens up more avenues for attack that bad actors might use. So one of the things we've done in our development of a solution, of our SD-WAN solution, is to incorporate cybersecurity protections. It's a layer of protection, so we always talk about in risk mitigation and risk planning, there should be multiple layers of defense. We talk about the DDoS shield, which prevents DDoS attacks out at the edge of the network. Then you can get to, the edge of our network with the internet. Then you talk about the edge of your network, and that's where FlexNet sits. The appliance sits at the edge of your internet. And then there might be other protections internal to your organization. So at the edge of your network, when we can incorporate certain cybersecurity functions, it, number one, controls the interface, controls the type of data flows that go through. It also allows visibility and alerting into what's happening. So the idea that if there was a malware attempt, or if there was a VPN that went up or down, there's awareness of that so that you could, number one, be aware it's happening, but also you could use these tools to debug issues that occur during normal operating hours. The ideas of the actual protections that we would incorporate are intrusion prevention system or intrusion detection. That's based upon the Snort engine. There's a firewall, which is both layer 3 and layer 7. So the system is doing that deep packet inspection. So it's finding sources, destinations, applications, ports. All of those characteristics can be used to control the data flow. And then there's content filtering, which is pretty common, right? We all of a sudden want to stop all traffic going to a particular URL right now. How can we implement that real time? So those are the types of protections that are a part of the FlexNet product and part of the security bundle. Those defenses can be integrated with others that you may have. For example, if you have a data loss prevention or other types of solutions for your cybersecurity protections, we work to integrate those so that, again, you have a multi-tiered, multi-layer protection against multiple vectors that the adversaries will try to use.
And I'm just going to jump in quickly, and as you've been on many of these Lunch and Learn episodes here, if it's part of this series, or maybe you're here for the first time, right? many of these products, services, features, capabilities that we develop, they come as a direct result of our interfacing with our customers. Our customers will either experience a vulnerability or they'll experience an attack, and they'll contact us as their trusted partner to try and understand what happened post and try to understand what we may do from a Lightpath perspective to help get them back up and running. In addition, they may go to conferences and learn about the latest vulnerabilities that are out there or attacks that are happening, and they'll come back to us if we're not there already and talk to us right there on the spot. And then they'll lean on us from a security perspective to try and understand what can we do in addition for them to help mitigate or protect them, hopefully, prior to any type of attack. Right? This is all part of the partnership and the trusted advisor methodology that we put in place here at Lightpath to ensure that we are there for our customers and help you focus on your business, and we'll take care of the rest of that aspect, right? In addition, security capabilities and personnel are a very heavy investment, and there aren't a tremendous amount of security experts out there that you can just pick them up and get them on staff. That's why we're stepping in now as that provider, as that trusted advisor, because we do have a tremendous amount of security expertise, Bill here being one of them, right? But we have a whole team behind us that also helps mitigate, position, and set up your networks so that you aren't as vulnerable as maybe others. All right, so that's part of the overall stream that we put together. Sorry, Bill, did you want to mention something else?
Not at all. I'm going to follow on whenever you're ready.
That was pretty much it. I was just going to go through and say if anybody has, just from cleanup here, if anybody has any questions on the documents, you'll see a docs header up on the top right next to the Q&A section, and you'll be able to download any of that paraphernalia that we put together that you can read through on the various different services that we talked about today.
Thanks. One of the areas I wanted to touch upon is based upon the questions we received prior to this meeting. Some of you have posted some questions, and I just want to touch on the fact that your cybersecurity response, your security posture, and how you're going to deal with threats, whether it's ransom attacks, DNS attacking, or even social networking. The ideas surrounding this is that it's a multi-tiered defense approach. And we've demonstrated or discussed with you a few examples of the Lightpath products that can be put together as a part of your overall cybersecurity defense posture so that you can meet whatever certification requirements are necessary or get the reporting or visibility that your risk mitigation policies and procedures require. The idea is that it's not black and white. There's a lot of options out there. There's integration of various tools. We did not, for example, talk about endpoint protection. That might be something that you would be considering that we can integrate with. So the point I wanted to make was that the discussion around cybersecurity and what your threats are, how you assess your threats, what your risks are, requires a unique and customized solution. And Lightpath has provided you an overview of a few of those protections during this last 25 minutes.
So with that, do we want to open it up for folks to write in the chat here or in the Q&A section if you want to add any additional questions that you have? I did receive one that came straight to me, and I think it's on your FlexNet, Bill. If you want to take this, is there any limitation to the number of sites that your FlexNet solution can support?
Hi, the limit, there's always a limit, but it's in the hundreds of locations. If you were to, our current product is based upon the Meraki platform, and we have an upcoming product based upon Versa. So the answer is it's in the hundreds of nodes could participate. in an SD-WAN network. And it's based upon the data flows, who's participating, where they are, and where the data, has to get from and to. That's how the architecture of the SD-WAN would be designed.
Okay. Looks like we have another one in here from Thomas Pomeroy. Do you offer any protections for your SIP service? Yes, we do. So our SIP service, we can do it over the top. We can do it on our network. And we put in, for those that require it, it's called a separator. That is almost like a voice firewall that we put at the end if customers request that. We have seen a growing trend of folks not really requiring that, given all the protections that they have on their back-end network. But for those folks that do require it, we do have those devices, and they are sized accordingly with the number of concurrent calls that is required at the customer edge.
Thanks. I see the question from Martin regarding these cybersecurity protections related to our SecureNet product. Our SecureNet product is the combination of a DIA with DDoS protection. So certainly we can put the FlexNet product along with that, linked in with it. The optical encryption isn't really along the same lines as SecureNet, but it could certainly be used over any optical links that you have. The idea of what's E-ratable or what's not E-ratable, that's kind of defined on an annual basis. And at this point, I believe firewalls are within the realm, I think they call it type 2, of being covered. So there is advancements being made, and more services, security services, are being covered by E-rate.
Yeah, and those rules are actually determined by the USAC, right? And I do believe, Bill, to your point, is they're actually doing a trial right now, if I'm not mistaken, on many of the security services and getting them reimbursed for 2025. I don't think they've expanded it out for those additional security services, but yes, firewalls, I do believe, Wi-Fi, all that is part of the type 2. How about, can the DDoS shield, can it be added to any Lightpath circuit, OTS, ELAN, or WAN?
Hi, sure. So DDoS shield it's a defense against IP attacks. So the transport that's used is less important, really, versus the layer 3 IP and network that's being protected. So how the IP is delivered is really less significant to DDoS shield. Our DDoS shield will protect any Lightpath internet access. It's really configured. We call them protected objects. They're configured around the IP address scheme that is your IP address, so that when you purchase the service, we apply the protected object based upon your bandwidth, and then the protections we spoke about, whether they're volumetric protections or socket-based connection attacks, web server attacks, or DNS types attacks, all those protections are then applied to that circuit, so that traffic destined to you is what's inspected and mitigated. That's how our DDoS protection works.
All right, we got about 5 more minutes, so we'll take a couple more questions. I think this one is fairly simple. Glenn Chalmers, is this offered as an upgrade to existing Lightpath customers? I believe everything is offered as an upgrade to any of the Lightpath customers, as long as they correlate to the products, right? As we're talking about, OTS encryption with the OTS circuits, DDoS with the various different circuits, and the FlexNet, right? You can add that to your your DIA circuits as well, right? And then I think I saw one more here from Hugo. Having Cisco Meraki, does this integrate, or is it its own Lightpath web portal?
We leverage the Meraki dashboard. So at this point, what would happen is you can log into the Lightpath portal and be linked across to the dashboard, which would require a second login. It's not SSO yet, but it is a separate portal, or you could just go directly to the Meraki URL, either from a web browser on your computer, or there's an application for your iPhone or Android. You can get it from there too. And to answer the question about a VPN, yes, VPNs are included. Our FlexNet product supports site-to-site VPNs or third-party, site-to-site VPNs, third-party VPNs, and client VPNs.
Awesome. I'm thinking we hit them all. See if there's any more. Hugo's asking if there's a web lab we can test and play these solutions, or demo like.
Sure, we have I set up demonstration environments for both our DDoS product and our FlexNet product. So when you speak with your account exec, they'll coordinate with me, and we can have a demonstration and discussion, not only to show you the features of the products, but also to gather some of your requirements to make sure it's a fit, and start the discussions that way. So yes, we can demo both products.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I see in the bin here. So I think at this point we've pretty much covered all of the material we wanted. We'd answered a few questions. As always, Bill and I are always available for a call, questions, or if you have any feedback on these wonderful lunch and learn sessions that we do. We do have quite a number of folks that tune in every week, so I can't thank you all enough for that. And as a token of my gratitude, I'll close out with, how do you fix a vulnerability in a jack-o'-lantern, given that we're coming to Halloween? With a pumpkin patch. All right, folks, thanks again for joining. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. All right, enjoy the rest of your week.